So I went to Louise in December 2013 and said, I really like your writing, can you write us a play? And said, can it be about human rights? That was it really. And it couldn't have any set, because we wanted to tour it, we planned to take it up to the Fringe. I said, no set, no, it'd be nice if there was some laughs, but it's up to you. And let's have some let's talk about human rights, because there was a competition about it at the time.
Never knew that.
Didn't know, right. And then she came back with this first draft, which, why did you write that?
Yeah, so I kind of took the theme of human rights and I went off and did a bit of reading around what that meant and looked at the most literal version of it, which was the Human Rights Act. And one of the declarations in that was around people having the right to be with and marry whoever they chose. And I found that quite interesting in the sense that, well, what if the person you chose didn't necessarily want to be with you, or not in the same way? And it kind of implied there needed to be a compromise or an agreement between those people. And what if people weren't necessarily on the same page with that? And that was kind of what set off my chain of thought of thinking and what resulted in this play. There's elements of it that are definitely based on research, so not wanting to give too much of what happens away, but one of the characters is an activist, and she's, I think we said this in the synopsis, so it's alright, and she gets kidnapped and captured overseas, and I did read a bit about people who'd been through that experience. So there was a guy who'd been held captive in Iraq for 117 days, I think it was, and I read a bit of his account of that. And I looked into things around, depressingly, torture, psychological warfare, how people who are activists prepare themselves to be in situations like that, the kind of things that they have to have drilled into them before they put themselves at risk. So elements of that are based on actual research.
I think there's definitely something in this idea that as a society we're desperate to know the news, but because we were so desperate to know this news, what are we putting the pressure on for the people to find that news, and are we trying to glamorise it to make it interesting because that's what we're desperate to know, what everything's going on? I think that's quite an interesting point that's raised by it. But whether
Desperate to be a hero.
Yeah, desperate to be a hero. I'm really most excited about it because it's a play of firsts really for us. It's our first full-length piece that we're doing, so it's an hour and a half. It's Louise's first full-length piece that's been produced. That's right, isn't it? Yeah. It's our first piece in our brand new venue that we've got, which is in a basement on Newbridge Street West in Newcastle. And it's also our first piece that we're taking on tour, on a small regional tour, so we're also taking it to Ark and Jabberwocky, so it's a lot of firsts. It's pretty cool. That's what I'm excited.